G'day everyone, welcome to my new creative dinosaur zoo building series. This is not going to be fossils and archaeology based, instead I'm going to put the spotlight on some other dinosaur mods like prehistoric fauna and also another one that I haven't tested out before called Biologica and an unreleased one which you'll see in a future video. But for this video I am building a Yutyrannus enclosure and this isn't going to be a speed build series, this is going to be way more interactive and I feel like it's going to be way more fun. So yeah, let's get into this video. Alright, I'm going to start building now. So the first thing I want to do, which is probably one of the most important parts, is to get an idea of the shape of the enclosure. And the way I'm going to do that is just do a bunch of curved lines just going around, because I don't really want any straight lines in this enclosure. I want it to be mainly curves. Now I've done sort of like a bend thing. Actually, this bend could be a little less sharp. I feel like it would be cool to have a viewing area that sort of goes over the top of the enclosure. Maybe even with a glass bottom floor so you can look down at the Yutyrannus below you. And what I'm doing with the yellow wool here is this is going to be the terrain. So this bit of red wool here is going to be the path, and the path is going to stop at this bit of terrain. And I've just placed this bit of wool here as like a natural body of water, but I'm just going to make like a little lake. I actually feel like it's taken up a bit too much of the enclosure now. Need to reduce the size a little bit. Okay, I'm pretty happy with this shape of the enclosure. I think I'm going to work on all the outside parts first. So I might start off with the sort of terrain cliff that I want to do here. And this path is going to go either inside the cliff or along the side of the cliff into this viewing area. Okay, for the cliffs, I'm going to make the cliff walls out of sandstone. But the bottom of these cliffs are going to be made out of this hardened silt. And I'm going to make it more straight than this and have some parts go out like this. I'm also not going to have any grass in this enclosure except for maybe like normal grass blades, so I'll be replacing that all with this normal silt later, and also some coarse dirt and rooted dirt and stuff. I'm also putting a bit of this hardened silt into the ground just to blend it into the terrain a little better. Okay, cool, I've done the hardened silt layer. Now I'm gonna do a good mix of sandstone and sandstone regolith. Regolith, is that how you pronounce it? I actually don't know. Oh, I didn't know that there's a sandstone fall. Okay, I didn't know that this block has sand physics and falls, so that's a bit annoying. Actually, I'm not going to have grass, but I'm going to have some mossy dirt in some places, especially on these cliffs, mixed in with some loam. Okay, I like this here, and I'm going to be putting bits of snow on this as well because I don't know if I said it earlier, but I want this enclosure to have a bunch of snow in it as well, just because I feel like the Yutyrannus lived in a colder environment, or at least playing Ark Survival Evolved gave me that impression. And also I haven't built many snowy enclosures in the past, so like I've been wanting to do this for a while. Okay, I made an oopsie. I clicked pause recording because I had to step away from my computer for a second, and then I didn't unpause, and I made a little bit of progress, but not too much, and I'll just really quickly go over it. So I finished these cliffs and I raised up the viewing area, and I'll go to here, and I'll finish this viewing area after I've done doing the paths, of which I've started building. And what I'm doing next is I'm just going to go through and add some more texture and interest to these walls. So I'm probably going to take off this top layer and replace it with these small tough bricks because I think they look nice at the top. But I'm a big fan of these massive 2x2 texture bricks. I started using them in my most recent episode of the Fossils and Archaeology SMP, and I'm definitely going to use them a lot more because I love them. Okay, that's nice. Okay, I'm not going to stop here. I want to add a little bit more viewer protection. So I'm going to have a 1 block gap between the Yutyrannus enclosure and the viewing path. This will also mean I can just put like a normal little fence at the viewing area rather than having a big secure fence stopping people from falling in, because the more secure fence is on this layer. And I am quite a big fan of this mesh fence, because it does have these little inbuilt pillars, and I love I've got the construction wand mod on, so I can just quickly place these up a lot higher. And in between I'm just gonna put some like gravel bricks and also just normal gravel. There we go, I've now filled in all the area in between. Another thing I've added to the mod pack is the copycat mod, and it's another thing I've used in the SMP, and it can really enhance build. And what it does is you just place it down and then you right click it and it changes the texture with whatever you've right clicked it with, and I'm a big fan of that. And it also just adds a little nice curve to the enclosure as well, which I like. I'm gonna push this up just one more. Okay, next for like the viewer railing, I'm just gonna do a normal offense, I really like the mangrove, but I want to add some color, so I'm going to use mangrove. That is a really nice pop of color. I want to add some lampposts every couple blocks. I'll design the lampposts later, but I'm just trying to figure out right now where I want to put them. Okay, next I want to find the block I'll use for the path. And I'm thinking for the path, I'm just gonna do a nice polished stone. I don't often do stone paths, but I feel like it might be nice for this. Okay, cool. I've surrounded the whole path with this polished stone. Now I'm gonna bring it up to this viewing area here. Okay, I've added in the path now going to the viewing area. I'm just adding some slabs to make the slope a little bit nicer. Okay, now I need to figure out how this viewing area is gonna go. I already knew I wanted a glass bottom floor so people could look down at the Yutyrannus below them. I guess I should probably start off with that then so I can work off that. Okay, cool. I've put the glass in and I'm putting stuff to divide it to keep it more structurally sound. I think for the block going around it, I've chose to do polished smooth stone around the glass. I really suck at building futuristic structures, so I'm like using a lot of brain power trying to think of how I want to do this. Okay, I've just had an idea to build it similar to the Jurassic World evolution viewing area, but I'm not gonna look up how it looks. I'm just gonna build it from memory and hopefully it would look more like my own thing and less like the Jurassic World one. So I'm doing these like pillars going out and then I'm just gonna put glass in between just like this. Okay, that looks nice. I think it might need some supports underneath so it doesn't look like it's floating so much, but I'll work on that later. I'm also gonna have some windows on the side just to make it feel a little less claustrophobic inside. I now sort of feel like this side is a bit flat, so maybe add some definition just like that. Yeah, I like that. Okay, I'm kind of happy with this. It started to get cooler and cooler the more I build. If I remember correctly, the roof part of the building is open and it has like sections of roof just going, it has like the sections of roof curving down over to the back of the viewing area, but I could be wrong, but I'm okay with that if I'm wrong because then it just makes it more of my own build. This also adds more airflow inside the viewing area. Okay, yes, I like this. Okay, sometimes I forget that I'm not doing a speed build and I just stop talking and start building, and I'm still working on this viewing area and I'm struggling a bit at this back area. It doesn't look that good at the moment. Thinking maybe if I add some like strips of spruce on the wall, it could look a little better, and then maybe I change out this part for a different block. Okay, cool. I'm a bigger fan of how this looks. And then here I might have some little, now I just need to fix the outside a bit. Okay, I once again stopped speaking and started building again, and I did these little support sections and I'm making sure it feels structurally sound by adding walls, and I think it does. And I'm also adding some extra details onto here just because I think it will make it look better. But yeah, this viewing area is almost complete. Okay, I think I'm ready to move on from this viewing area. I've been working on it for quite a bit now, but I'm very happy with it, and I'm gonna work out the foliage and plants I'm gonna put out here because I want to have some nice little plant beds with flowers in front of the viewing area. Now I am ready to start working on the inside of the enclosure, which I won't lie to you guys, I've been looking forward to the most. So I always feel like it's good to have a bit of height variation in enclosures, so I'm dropping down the ground a little bit right here, and in other areas I'm gonna lift up the terrain a little bit. But before I do any of that, I'm gonna replace the grass with loam. It is showing on the outside of the enclosure a bunch, but this area will all be covered up eventually, so I'm not gonna worry about that. I'm gonna have a bit of the terrain go up a little bit here, and I'm also gonna have, okay, I did it over there, and okay, I did it over there, and I'm also gonna do it right here. Okay, neat. I've figured out the levels of the terrain that I want this enclosure to be. Now I'm going to work on this body of water, and I just had an idea that I think it would be neat to make some parts of this body of water frozen, and also the block I'm going to make this little lake out of will be mud, just like that. And I need to, of course, transition it into the loam a bit better. And I found this block, which is from Nature's Spirit. It's just a type of wood, but it's like the perfect sort of texture I was going for to transition the mud and the loam. I also add some cobbled deets just to add a bit more interest into the body of water. Now I'm actually going to put the water in. Okay, nice, water is in. I'm going to get some ice and just add some ice just around some edges, not in every spot. Okay, I put ice in now. I feel like I put too much ice in, so I need to take some away. Okay, this is a lot better. Okay, I'm way more pleased with this. I literally just did the same thing as I did before, and I paused recording and I forgot to unpause, but again, I didn't make too much progress. The main things that I did was do this path around around the enclosure. I made sure to make sure it sort of followed the edge of the enclosure because I notice animals in real life like to follow the edges of their enclosures, so that's why the ground is more trodden and worn down. And I spent a long time trying to get a gradient right between the mud and this ground packed silt, and I ended up transitioning using jungle planks, rooted dirt, and normal silt. And I plan on doing the snow once I've done the trees, which is what I'm working on. And I'm so sad. And I'm so sad that I stopped recording because I spent so long trying to figure out how to make this tree look good, because I crown myself as the king at not being able to make good trees. So it took me a long time to get this right, and it was a lot of problem solving. So I'm sad I didn't get that on camera, but it's okay because I gotta make another one anyway, so I have like at least 2 variants to copy and paste around, and I'll sort of go through my process of making it with you now, especially since I now have a little bit more of an idea of what I'm doing. Feels like it's like tree bark, and for that I chose these silt shingles, and I just go up to what feels like a pretty natural height, and I like to have different sizes of the tree trunk. I get it to like there, and then I start working on the branches. And recently I've been liking doing branches with slabs, and if I'm building with wood I like to add in some trapdoors as well. And I like to have at least one little branch going off in like every direction. And this is how I would usually shape the tree. Then at the top I would just add a little leaf and then something on top. And also with this tree I tried to keep the birch leaves closer to the center of the trunk, and then have these other leaves towards the outside because they're like a tiny bit brighter than birch leaves. I like to add some little droopy leaf parts. Okay, this tree looks so goofy at the moment. It's definitely a bit top heavy, I feel, so I need to reduce some things up here and work a bit more on the area down below. Okay, I worked on it a bit more and now it's looking a lot nicer. I might actually just add one little more spike on top just because I think it looks nice. And then bam, those trees are now sort of done, I guess. Okay, I've copied them and pasted them over here just so I can use them as templates in other builds. I feel like it's useful to save things like that. And now I've just rotated it and bam, I've just pasted another one in, and I really like it because it sort of goes over the path right there. I think that's cute. Okay, pasted another one there, and I'll probably put one more maybe up here as well. Okay, that looks good. Okay, now I've just copied this tree and I've just plonked it in, right there, and I think it looks so good. And I'm gonna put like 2 over here, I think, as well. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. I don't want to have too many trees because I don't want the whole enclosure to be covered in shade. So next I'm gonna work on one of my favorite parts. I'm gonna work on like my favorite part, which is doing foliage. I guess doing trees counts as foliage, but I mean ground foliage. And I saw these leaves in the creative inventory and I just thought they'd look great as bushes along the ground of this sort of glacial enclosure. So I'm gonna have bushes of these dotted around everywhere. Okay, that's cool. I didn't want too many bushes. Okay, this is nice. I didn't want too many bushes, so I feel like this is a good amount. I'm gonna keep the snow around where the trees are because it's usually more shady there, so the snow wouldn't have melted as fast because it didn't have the sun beaming on it. But in the parts that are open, I'm going to have a ton of different types of grass, and just to add a little pop of color, I really like these colored sprouts here, and I feel like purple and red go great together. It just adds so much, like, it's like such a subtle pop of color that it really works well. So I'm gonna have that in a few spots around the enclosure as well. I am obsessed with these grass textures, by the way. These are so beautiful. Okay, I just went crazy with placing this foliage everywhere, and I love the textures of like the mods they have added, like Nature's Spirit. All these plants are from the Nature's Spirit mod, and I'm such a big fan and definitely gonna use this more. But yeah, now I'm gonna actually do the snow that I said I was gonna do. Alright, I'm in the process of placing snow and I'm really trying to make it more sparse. Okay, I finished putting the snow in. I had my vision of how I wanted this enclosure to look before I even started building it is pretty much like here. This is like exactly how I pictured it in my head, and I'm so glad that I've been able to do it so well, so I'm so happy about this. But of course the build can't be finished yet. I need to add an area for the Yutyrannus to go while the zookeepers are doing construction on the enclosure, so I'm thinking of just making them a little cave right here. It's not all gonna be hardened silt, I'm just placing this right now. Like, I think for the roof, I want to just do sandstone, but I'm going to transition it a little bit nicer. Okay, I'm pretty happy with this little cave den that I've made. I want to do the same thing that I did on the SMP and just give the area a bit of height difference and just give the ground a little bit of a height difference with some copycat layers, which pretty much act like snow layers. Yeah, just like that. It's very subtle. Something I do actually want for this cave nesting area is to be able to lock them in so zookeepers can safely do maintenance in here without having to interact with the Yutyrannus. So I'm going to make a create door that can go up. And when it's in its up position, it will look like this. Probably going to cover the top just like that so they're fully trapped in. And I know a lot of people will know how create works, but I'm just going to quickly explain this for people who don't. So with create, you can make pistons extend much further than they normally would be able to. You just got to add the extension underneath, and then you're going to add a motor and the pistons will go up. And because those are sticky pistons, they will all be connected to this bottom layer here. And if I want everything to be connected, I can just select it all with glue. And now all those blocks will be moved by these pistons. And now I guess I gotta make some sort of T flip-flop because this is actually going the wrong way. And I think the only way I know how to do that is with droppers. There's probably some simple create way, but I'm not that good at create. Okay, I think this is all I have to do to make this work. I just have to put this in here. That will pull everything down supposedly. Yes, it did. Nice. And now out here, I want to make an area for the zookeepers to be able to open and close the gate. I'm pretty sure if I just do that and then attach a button like right there and I click it, it should go up. It did. Look at that. And now I click it again and it'll go down. Oh, that's perfect. There we go. How sweet is that? Okay, now I'm just gonna make a basic little room here. I was taught that pretty much any enclosure that has a dangerous creature in it, the zookeeper there should be a separate room next to the enclosure for zookeepers to operate that enclosure from. And yes, I'm very aware that this looks like a dungeon right now, but I'll come back and decorate this. I want to work on other stuff right now. Like for example, making a way down to this area. And I'm just thinking a flood of stairs would work fine. And in an attempt to make the staircase seem a little bit more friendly, I'm going to build it out of wood. And now I've got to make this weird hole coming out of the ground look a bit nicer and try to go for this modern look that I was trying to build with before. By the way, I think earlier in the video I called this futuristic. I meant to say modern. Okay, I tried to blend the style of this building in with this and I don't know. I think it works. It's just sort of a background building, so I don't think I need to put much thought into it. Okay, now I'm going to finish doing the foliage up and around here. But before I do that, I realized I didn't use any prehistoric fauna plants. So I want to quickly dot around some plants that I thought looked really nice and would match the build. Okay, sick. I've dotted a bunch of these plants all around. And now I need to do the ones up here. I'm pretty much just going to do mainly the same things I did down there. Also, I remembered at the start of the video I said I was going to put this mossy dirt all around the enclosure, but I decided against that just because I really like the main green parts of this enclosure just coming from the plants. But I'll definitely be using mossy dirt in other builds in this world. I've just realized I don't really even have a proper fence stopping. Visitors from walking into the enclosure from here. So I'm going to quickly work on that. Okay, I've added a little fence here and I've made it look nice and it should be good enough to stop people from trying to get in. I'm hoping. I hope at least. Okay, now I want to add in a little flower garden. Okay, cool. I did some copycat layers with some tough bricks and now I just want to find some nice flowers to put on top. Ooh, that is nice. That might actually go nice in the enclosure. I'll keep hold of that. Okay, it took a bit to find the right flowers, but I got these wildflowers. I think they matched what I was going for here perfectly. And now I just want to see if this would look good in some spots in the enclosure. And I think it does, just in like a few different spots. I thought I was done, but then I just remembered that I need to add a second entrance into the enclosure because if the Yutyrannus is in here, then the zookeeper can't come in here to get over there. And this is the only entrance for the zookeeper right now. So I need to make another entrance, maybe like over here. And this is going to be just a long hall and I can't really be bothered decorating it at the moment because I don't think anyone will ever really see it. And also I don't know how to decorate it, I'm going to be honest. Okay, sick. Now we've got a little entrance here. It's not really noticeable from this top viewing area because you're looking down, you don't really see it. But yes, I finally feel like this enclosure is done and I'm so happy with it. It looks so beautiful. So the only thing left to do is spawn the Yutyrannus in. And here it goes. Look at this fella. They're so beautiful. I love the texture of these fellas. I'm thinking I'm only gonna have 2 in this enclosure. I'm just gonna say that they're mates. But yes, this enclosure is done. I'm not doing anything on this side of the path because I'm gonna put other enclosures there. But yeah, I'm gonna end the video now. I'm gonna take a quick second to thank my beautiful members, of which I will put on screen right now. I really appreciate these fellas a lot, and I'm really looking forward to building this zoo. I'm feeling really confident about this world. Also, make sure to hype the video. I'm still trying to see if that does anything. But yeah, I'm gonna end this now. Bye bye everyone, take care. I'll see you in the next one.